I know you're sick of tattling in your classroom, and I know that you've tried everything that there possibly could be to get the kids to stop tattling on each other, and nothing has worked. So, here is something that maybe, possibly, could be a little bit of a shred of light in the darkness of tattling. So, when you think about tattling, what is the point? In order to best resolve a situation, we need to understand the situation. And I know that like we want quick fixes. We want something that's just going to work. And is that mascara? Oh my goodness. I'm a messy girl. So we want something that's going to work, and you want something that you don't really have to think about a whole lot. Um, but real quick, 30-second take on tattling. Tattling happens because a kid is trying to get help. Kids are not intuitively, intrinsically trying to get each other in trouble. That's not something kids really, in their hearts, want to do. They don't want to get each other in trouble because they don't want to get in trouble. But when a kid is tattling, they're trying to say, I need help. I don't know how to handle this. And my friend is doing something that's not okay. So when they come to you and they say, Susie's saying potty words, then your response, typically a teacher's response is, watch your mouth, Susie. And now Susie's in trouble. But if Susie was going to listen to a teacher, this wouldn't be an issue, right? If a kid is going to listen to a grown-up, these issues wouldn't happen because they would have listened to the grown-up. So the method's not working. Like shouting across the room to the kid that's being tattled on doesn't change anything. And all it does is get the other kids to listen to, oh, Susie is a troublemaker. I hear their voice all the time, followed up with a, you're not following the rules vibe. So now everybody's going to pay attention to what Susie's doing, and Susie's life is going to be miserable at school because everybody's focused on everything she's doing wrong. So instead, Miss Celeste, Susie's saying potty words. Then the better response is, are you telling me this because you want Susie to be in trouble, or because you need help finding the words to say, I don't like that? Are you telling me this because you want to be helpful or because you want to be hurtful? So now you're shifting the whole conversation. It doesn't matter what Susie's doing. Susie's going to do what Susie does, right? But you have little Becky coming over and she's tattling. You want the tattling to stop. So don't pay attention to what Susie's doing. Pay attention to what Becky's doing, because Becky's the one that's coming in to tattle. And it's an opportunity to help them have some self-reflection. What's my intention? Like Becky's thinking to herself, what's my intention here? Do I want Susie to be in trouble, or do I just really not like what she's doing and I need it to stop? 9 times out of 10, Becky's going to respond with, I just don't want her to say potty words. I'm not comfortable with that. So now, as a teacher, say, okay, so you don't want her to get in trouble. That's awesome. You don't want your friend to get in trouble. Nobody does. But you do want your friend to stop saying potty words because it's not safe. So let's come up with an idea. How can you let Susie know that the words she's saying don't feel safe for you? So you could tell her something like, Susie, when you use potty words, it hurts my ears. Or Susie, remember we use kind words in the classroom. Or whatever it is that Becky wants to say to Susie, so that Becky is accountable for how uncomfortable she feels. And Susie now is accountable for her words impact her peers. And because Susie doesn't care about what grown-ups say, because if she did, this would be a problem, now Susie is being accountable to her peers, not making sure that she's following along with what a grown-up wants. And peer pressure is incredibly influential for kids. So you can kind of use that to your advantage here. So now the peers are influencing each other to make safe choices and be accepted and embraced by each other when they're doing the right things. So now nobody's targeting Susie for misbehaving. You're not drawing attention to Susie and letting everybody know that Susie's using a potty word. You're giving Becky, you're empowering her to use her voice instead of needing to always go to a grown-up for help. And you're helping Susie and Becky connect with each other. So now the two of them are able to have an open conversation, and Susie is able to be receptive because she's not in trouble from a grown-up, and Becky is able to use her big voice. So this method, this mindset, this framework, like the shift in like the framework for how you handle these things is what makes lasting changes. You can implement all sorts of different things, right? But at the end of the day, it's important to know that behavior is driven by emotion and connection. So when the kids feel connected to each other, they're more likely to behave. When kids feel disconnected, they don't have a reason to behave. So Susie, if she's getting in trouble all the time, she's probably in trouble at home. She's probably struggling with whatever she's struggling with, and she's always the one that is doing what she's not supposed to be doing. But as soon as she starts feeling connected, she's going to do the things that are more pro-social because she has a reason to behave. She has a reason to be accepted if she understands that that's a possibility for her. So hope that helps.